Donald Trump is one of the most famous people in world history. He is the type either you love him or you hate him. There is usually no middle ground. But stick with me, even if you don't like Mr. Trump, and hear me out on this one. I see Trump's downside. Believe me, I do. He is a flawed man. But I am a flawed man. But I want to say I think he has some good ideas at times. And when he is right, he is really right. I'm going to give a good example of a proposed policy he gave for his next term on the huge drug problem we have in this country. So I'm going to play that video clip in a second. But for whatever reason, experienced politicians never come up with very practical solutions to our problems. Let's not forget, Trump is a businessman. He is not a master politician. And it's part of the reason his presidency was so choppy, among other things. But last year that Trump filed his taxes, which were made public, he made $700 million. This guy is no fool. And people say that he is, but don't understand that he graduated from the Wharton School of Business. Hi, my name's Joshua Simone, and the channel is called Torn Curtain, which is the ministry. My goal of reaching 1 billion people with the gospel message. And I have my main channel, which is Joshua Simone Torn Curtain, and I also have 2 other channels, News and Politics, and one for Evangelism. So check that out and hit subscribe. But every once in a while, it's good to have a businessman run for office. Why? Because they are more straightforward and practical. They're thinking in terms of dollar and cents. So it's a good correction to have a politician be a businessman every once in a while. Most politicians are not straightforward and practical. I live in New York City, where Mike Bloomberg was a 3-time mayor. He wasn't the most likable person. He was a bit stiff and wasn't the greatest public speaker. However, I can assure you, he did a great job with New York City. We are voting for people not based on their personality, but for the policies that they're going to enact. And Mike Bloomberg, like I said, was a bit of a stiff, but was really good for New York City. He ran New York City like a business, and it worked out great. In some ways, I feel the same about Trump. He is not a smooth politician, but he does have a lot of good practical ideas. In this video, I'm going to play for you one of those good policies. He met with President Xi from China and finds out why China doesn't have a drug problem like America has. And we don't just have a problem, we have a huge drug problem with so many people overdosing and dying based on this. And later, Trump is going to give his possible policy to combat the issue. Let me play the clip for you.
When I went to China, I got to know President Xi of China, a very strong man, And he said, it is so nice to meet you. I said, nice to meet you too. We started talking about different things. I said, what about drugs in China? Do you have a drug problem? No, we have no drug problem. Think of it, 1.4 billion people. No, we have no drug problem. I say, so how'd you pull that one off? Now, they used to have a massive with the poppy, the opium. I mean, there was a drugged out country like we're becoming. You know, we're becoming a drugged out country. I don't know if you know it or not. We have drugs at a level that's never been seen anywhere. You have to look at the statistics this year. We're becoming, China at one time, many years ago, was a drugged out country, and weak countries were taking parts of China. Other countries were taking parts that would normally never be able to happen. But years ago, they instituted the death penalty for drug dealers. And as soon as they did that, it stopped. It stopped. So I said, you have a drug problem? No. He looked like, like what the hell kind of a stupid question is that? Do we have? Of course we don't have a drug problem. I say, what do you attribute to quick trial? I said, quick trial. What is a quick trial? If you're a drug dealer and if you get caught selling drugs, they give you an immediate trial, and then sadly, you're executed. And so the drug dealers don't go there. They don't have a drug problem at all. They have a very meaningful death penalty. They don't have a drug deal at all. And they don't have a problem, like at all. 1.4 billion people, no problem.
So you see in there in that clip, Trump meets with President Xi and gets right to the bottom of the problem. that China did have a big drug problem at one time, like the one we're experiencing. And they enacted the death penalty for drug dealers, and crime and drugs immediately dropped off the face of the planet. Now, I know this is very tough and a tough policy for most people to really accept. But the truth is that unless we get tough with these situations, they will continue. And we got a major, major problem in America right now with drugs, with so many young people overdosing. And they're able to combat this problem with policy changes. So now it should be mentioned that when he's talking about drug dealers, he's talking about drug dealers getting the death penalty for harder drugs like opium, heroin, not for marijuana and stuff like that, because it's legal in most states. So he's talking more for hard drugs. But Trump is going to make a policy suggestion here for his next term that he would like to implement. But the truth is that he feels like the American people aren't ready for tough policies like this. And then unfortunately, it's going to get to the point where so many people have to die before people are willing to really take action that's needed in order to end this problem. So let's hear the end of Trump's clip.
Ready for it. Remember this. Every drug dealer kills a minimum of 500 people during his or her lifetime. When you think of that, maybe you think differently. I don't know that this country is ready for it, but until you have the death penalty for drug dealers, you're never going to solve the problem. You're just kidding yourself. You're just kidding yourself. But I don't know that it's ready. But I will know when it's ready, because it's getting really bad. It's gotten so bad over the last 3 years. We've never seen increases like this ever before.
Okay, so you're seeing there, he's thinking about for his next term policy to implement this policy. And I'll tell you one thing, it will work like it worked in China. It will work like it worked in Turkey. They had a similar law that was put into effect, and drug problems disappeared in Turkey as well. So this is a very practical solution, but a lot of people feel like this is too rough of a policy, too extreme of a policy, and Trump is thinking that America isn't ready for something like this. But when are we going to realize and wake up that this problem is not going to just go away by itself? We've got to do something with so many people overdosing. And so there are precedences in most faiths, such as Islam and Christianity, for the death penalty. A lot of people think that no one should ever get the death penalty. But we saw this in the law of Moses, how he implemented the death penalty for dozens of different things. Because to tell you the truth, there are some people that just cannot be rehabilitated. There are just some people that cannot be reformed. Now, we want to try to help the people that can. But there are some things that are just so gross, so heinous, that you can't come back from. And so what Trump was saying, that each drug dealer is responsible for something like 500 deaths each. So each person that sells drugs is responsible for these deaths because people overdose and they die from the drug use. 500 people dead is a lot worse than any of the modern day serial killers that we have. Okay? So lots of people are dying as a result of these people dealing drugs. So it seems harsh until you look at it that way, that so many other people are going to die. And maybe giving people the death penalty is the right thing to do. So it's really important for us to realize that this is a practical solution that can be dealt with immediately. And we've seen 2 other huge countries where this worked and it was successful. And the truth is, like I said before, even in the law of Moses, there were dozens of crimes which were given the death sentence. This helps people to know that basically if you do this, if you cross this line, you're going to get the death penalty. And a lot of people are going to turn away from doing that to living a life of crime because of that, because they don't want to pay that penalty. And a lot of the other crimes, violent crimes, gun crimes, muggings, killings, shootings, are a result of people that are on drugs. And so we're going to see that this is good for America. Now, the truth is China is on pace to outpace us as the world's biggest economy. They're doing a lot of right things. They're putting in a lot of tough policies that are really good for the nation as a whole. And unless America starts waking up We become too sentimental, too anti-crime, too anti-police. But the truth is a good society can only run with law and order. For having a country that is run really well and deals with crime so that we're able to do business, that we're able to raise families. And until this is done, there are going to be other countries that are going to surpass the United States because we couldn't make the tough policies. And so now is the time to really start putting in tougher policies to deter people from getting involved with drug dealers. And this will put an end to the drug problem. And this is just one good example of a very practical solution that Trump had here that I feel would be very beneficial for America, that will set us in the right direction, that'll put us back on the map of being the world standard for looking to a nation that's successful and prosperous. And unless we make some of these tough decisions, America is headed for serious decline. We're in decline right now. And that's why this next election is so important, because we need to establish ourselves back on the map, and making tough decisions like this will help. So if you liked the video, please hit the thumbs up. Please share it. Comment down below. I'd love to hear your comments and where you're listening from. And I'll do my best to reply to you as soon as I can. Thank you for watching today. Be blessed.